To all new mothers-to-be, welcome to Prenatal Development 101, a crash course for new mothers. My name is Renukaa and I will be your host throughout this whole series. This crash course is aimed to aid in educating all pregnant women on the process of prenatal development and also how to have a safe and healthy pregnancy. We hope you will obtain valuable insight. Without further ado, let's start with the basics, stages of development. Developmental psychologists consider the process of human development as it relates to physical, cognitive, and psychosocial development. This lifespan development is organized into different stages based on age. Prenatal development is the process that occurs during the 40 weeks prior to the birth of a child, and it is heavily influenced by genetics. There are three stages of prenatal development: germinal, embryonic, and fetal. Prenatal development is also organized into three equal trimesters, which do not correspond with the three stages. The first trimester ends with the end of embryonic stage, the second trimester ends at week 20, and the third trimester ends at birth. Now, the first stage is germinal stage. Germinal stage is until week 2. The germinal stage begins at conception when the sperm and egg cell unite in one of the two fallopian tubes. The fertilized egg, known as a zygote, then moves towards the uterus, a journey that can take up to a week to complete. In the process of mitosis, the fertilized egg first split into two cells and then divided into 4, 8, 16 cells and so on. Mitosis begins approximately 24 to 36 hours after conception. A significant number of zygotes never progress past this early part of cell division, with as many as half of all zygotes surviving less than 2 weeks. Once the 8-cell point has been reached, the cells begin to differentiate and take on certain characteristics that will determine the type of cells they will eventually become. Also, as the cells multiply, they separate into two distinctive masses. The outer cells will eventually become the placenta, while the inner cells will form the embryo. Then, the cell continues to divide rapidly and then develops into blastocyst. The blastocyst is made up of three layers, which is ectoderm, endoderm, and mesoderm. Finally, the blastocyst reaches the uterus and attaches to the uterine wall. This process is called implantation. Implantation occurs when cells are embedded in the lining of the uterus and rupture tiny blood vessels. The connective blood vessels and membranes that form between them will provide nutrients for the next 9 months of development. When implantation is successful, hormonal changes halt a woman's normal menstrual cycle and cause a whole host of physical changes. Second stage is embryonic stage. Embryonic stage is from week 3 to week 8. As we know, after the zygote divides for about 7 to 10 days and has 150 cells, it travels down the fallopian tubes and implants itself in the lining of the uterus. Upon implantation, this multicellular organism is now called an embryo. Now, blood vessels grow, forming the placenta. The placenta is a structure connected to the uterus that provides nourishment and oxygen from the mother to the developing embryo via the umbilical cord. Basic structures of the embryo starts to develop into areas that will become the head, chest, and abdomen. During the embryonic stage, the heart begins to beat and organs form and begin to function. The neural tube forms along the back of the embryo, starts developing into the spinal cord and brain. The last and final stage is fetal stage. Fetal stage is from week 9 until week 40, which is until birth. The early body systems and structure established in the embryonic stage continue to develop. During this stage of prenatal development, the neural tube continues developing into brain and spinal cord, and neurons continue to form. After that, they begin to migrate to the correct locations. Between week 9 and week 12, the fetus begin doing reflexive movement with arms and legs. In the third month of pregnancy, the sex organs begin to differentiate until the end of the month. All the other part of the bodies will be formed. In this period, the fetus weighs around 3 ounces and weight and length will continue growing. Towards the end of the third month, the heartbeat increases and other body systems grow further, such as nails, hair, and eyelashes. The size of the fetus increased by 6 times. During this trimester, the brain and central nervous system also become more sensitive. After week 28, the brain starts to mature faster and similar with other newborns. I have provided info about the 3 stages of development, which are germinal, embryonic, and fetal. I hope these explanations related to what is actually happening and what will happen inside you were really enlightening to you. Thank you and see you all in our next video.